to go live and nerve-wracking. Okay. And Colleen, if you don't mind, I'm going to make you a co-host just in case something happens to my connection. And Kevin was my co-host earlier, but it's always good to have two. That way that won't interrupt the stream if something happens. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Francisco Milagres, it's so good to see you.
Yeah,
How
so
are
good.
you?
I'm doing great, and you can. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. It's been a little while.
Yep, yep,
You continue to get buffer and fitter. What are you doing, man? Like you gotta we need a master class on whatever the heck you're up to.
yep, yep. Salim told me about that also. Yeah,
That's
a lot of
awesome, man.
I can share a bit
Working
about
on
the.
your dad's farm.
Yes, yes. In fact, I have moved to near the beach and near also the dad's farm. So life is
Yeah.
treating me very well.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. I want to see pictures of that farm sometime. You described it to me last
Yeah,
time we talked, and it just, I'm
sure.
doing a lot of work with my wife in the permaculture and regenerative space,
Oh,
and
cool.
the and you're living it there on your dad's farm. So really
Yeah, we are
cool.
fully solar now, and a lot of things
That's
going
awesome.
on. Yeah,
Well, we should have I have an idea for that. We'll process that later
yeah.
though, but it might be a little bit fun for the community if we share some of our
Mhm.
mutual explorations.
Let's do this. That would be a
And
pleasure.
and there's others too in the community as well. So I'm
Yep.
actually thinking about starting a working group around that. I keep threatening to do it, but I need another thing to manage like zero. Like I just don't. But
Me
I
too.
really want to do that one. So all right, well let me I never know how many folks will come. We will start sort of officially round five after. Salim is at a basketball game, a championship game with his son. He promised he would still dial in, but it might be a little bit I don't know exactly when, and he'll have to find a quieter corner and stuff to do that. So we will see him at some point, but we're going to go ahead and get started, okay? So just to give everybody a sense, I'm about to post two links in the chat. One is going to be OpenExO's actual YouTube channel, which we are currently, right now, just remember you are live streaming. Don't do anything your mommy wouldn't be proud of. And we're going to post that over to this is all streaming live. And then the second link is earlier today, we held the all hands for the other time zones, and I'm sharing that recording. So it is pretty much 100% likely that I won't touch every single thing that we touched in the morning call, but we'll try to hit the high points. And I just want everybody to know that if they wish to go back, watch the morning session, it'll fill in the blanks perhaps.
Kent,
Okay.
Kent, are you showing live yet, Kent?
Oh yeah, we're live, guys. We're live, everybody.
Anybody else finding it?
I will send you the link if you need it. Here you go, current live.
There it is. I see it. I just had to refresh.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, it's kind of nice if anybody who wants goes there and signs into YouTube and gives it a like, because it will help, as Jason pointed out earlier, it will help let the algorithm know that it should tell people about us, right? So that's kind of a nice thing to do. So I usually sign in with my OpenExO account and my personal account and do that as we get the party started. Salim, welcome. Thank you for joining. I know you're at an important game for your son.
Hey folks, yeah, I'm at some sort of weird rec basketball game that I promised to be at. So I'll speak for a few minutes and then I'll be on video and I'll try and do some Q&A, see how it goes.
Okay. So we have a slightly smaller group right now, Salim. I did let everybody know that we had a bigger session this morning and that everything will go. And Salim, you still have those 5 bullet points I sent you this morning, right? Or should I resend?
I do.
Okay. All right, good. So we're going to try to start out about the same way. Now, everybody, you can stop us anytime. Just raise your hand. If I don't see it, I'm sure Jason will yell at me or Colleen will yell at me to let you talk. But we do mean for this to be an interactive session. There's some pretty interesting and big things that we're announcing today, and we hope that you have questions. We want to talk and get feedback and hear from you, okay? So don't be shy. Yeah, it's important that we have these discussions as a community. All right, so with that, Salim, I think the first thing we'll go into is that recently there was a press release that went out on Monday a week ago from the Genius Group, and it's about the OpenExO Genius Group planned merger. Salim, I think we should start there. You want to jump into that a little bit?
Quick question, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just going to step outside of the gym so it's not so crazy.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I don't really hear, oddly enough.
All right.
Yeah.
They're
Um,
not stepping away.
After
so
being
real-
passed through airport security and Ubers and everything else, this is pretty good. Yeah.
All right. So basically, folks, what happened was about 10, 12 years ago, a fellow called Roger Hamilton came to one of our executive programs at Singularity University and got very excited. And then a year later read the book, and a year later started OpenExO. And he called it Genius Group. And it's a global platform for teaching entrepreneurship. Over the last, he took it public on the New York Stock Exchange 18 months ago. And we've been tracking his progress. There's incredibly strong MTP alignment, which is, as you know, the number one thing. And he essentially built an EXO on the edge, which we then had a set of discussions in September, October, November, and decided to merge. And essentially, we're creating a broad global public company that will transform entrepreneurship and hopefully education more broadly. The press release you can read, etc. Genius Group also merged with a separate AI company. And so there's a broader strategy of essentially educating and then implementing both AI and EXO across the board. We get access to several million entrepreneurs that are building companies, and essentially soon we'll be building EXOs. And we thought it was a really great fit overall, especially for MTP alignment. We've been literally ticking off attributes in the book over the years as it goes along. So you add all that up, we thought it was very compelling. And it took a couple of months longer than we wanted to get all the legal stuff done and handled. Essentially, we announced it last week. And we will go through we've signed a deal. It's a binding deal. We now go through a couple of months of closing where we have to file paperwork and get all our shareholders involved, and everybody has to sign off, and we have some loans to reconcile and things like that. And then if all goes well, we will do the closing over the next couple of months, maximum 3. And then essentially we're part of a merged group. Importantly, we are a wholly owned subsidiary inside that group. Therefore, we keep the platform, we keep the brand, we keep the operations exactly as is. We just have access to a much, much bigger companies in the world by market cap.
Hey, Salim. Hey, Salim. Pick up that microphone a little bit to your
Is it
mouth.
rubbing? Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the top 3 companies in the world, I won't give a name, is actually one of the partners to go to governments and say, let's help you implement AI and then transform entrepreneurship across your country. So there's some unbelievable synergies and opportunities that have opened up with this. And so broadly, we're pretty excited. So I'm going to pause there, and then Kent, I'll let you take over for a bit.
Right. So formulate your questions. And I'll just add that one of the things we're most excited about is that this is going to open up an enormous channel for us. There's over 6 million entrepreneurs in their network. And this as a subsegment is one we already serve and now are going to have a much larger portfolio to serve. One of the questions from this morning is, how does this affect our coaches, our consultants, and our community? And the thing is that we believe this is going to be that kind of inflection point that we've all been wanting so badly to bring in loads and loads more opportunity. And I can say, because I'm helping work on the deals, I'll tell you who this person is in a second, with a gentleman named Stuart Lacey. We're working together, and there's already been some very substantial deal flow come in that is going to lead to programs for our coaches and consultants. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the way that we partner and how we wish to improve that as we go along in the future. It's on the list for just a little bit later. But the person I just mentioned, his name is Stuart Lacey. He has joined OpenExO January 1st as our Chief Growth Officer. And Stuart is really helping us to kind of get it together, right, from an organization, and really improve, systematize, and work directly with our coaches and consultants and their companies as delivery partners for programs like the ones that we're getting opportunities for today. Now, this is not new. We've already been doing this in the past. We've just gone through a number of iterations of how we want to run partner programs, how we tried doing it all in-house. That created a problem effectively of competition that we didn't intend. And so now we can see pretty clearly that we can work together to sell or assist sell operate the sort of call it the financial model piece, but then push the delivery model out to the edges, right? Which is you. It's our coaches and our consultants that are certified, their certifications are up to date, and they're pro members of the platform. These are the folks that are going to be working on these programs coming up. So I'll pause there. That's the first part, is GNS merger, how it will affect our community, our coaches, our consultants to a degree, and why we're excited about it, especially with the opportunity it's going to bring. Plus Stuart Lacey joining the company, and he's just doing a phenomenal job. Like, I already can't imagine why it took us so long to find him, but it did. Any questions?
Couple more quick comments that I'll be joining the board of Genius Group along with a fellow called Eric Kluge, who is deep in Peter's world. And so we're kind of pushing the strategy now. We're kind of getting ready for a very, very big, broad structural year to develop pretty big transformation. Also, as a public company, we get a lot more credibility, throw your weight around it more than we could as a small entity.
Yep. Okay. So what about any questions? Well, Milagros, you've known us forever. You've got to have a question or two. No?
Well, about the community model, Salim, do you foresee any change in the model of training certification versus we working in the consulting side as we have been doing since the process of kind of merging EXO works, or should we focus more in the education community and certification as we have been doing until mid last year?
I think it's going to be a mixture of both, because we'll continue all our certification programs and our membership programs, and then we'll start exploring broader certifications. Now, they have accredited universities as part of this group, so we might be able to create an accredited EXO MBA program. So we'll move into the education world a little bit more with this.
Yeah, and
Right.
and Yaroslav was on this morning, Milagros, and he gave a full update on that you might want to go back and grab, even if you just watch that section. It's pretty good. And then when it comes to, what you're referring to, not everybody here will know this, but originally there was EXO Works, then there was EXO Libre, then there was OpenExO, then Libre went into EXO, then Works went into EXO. We made EXO Solutions, then we stopped Solutions, and now we're here. And that entire process has led us to a point where we know how to work really well with strong delivery partners with mature capabilities. Right now, this can be a 1 or 2 person shop or even a bigger shop, and we do anticipate continuing to do that. Milagros in particular is really critical, actually, to the way that we're structuring the new version of the partner program, which for anyone that's counting is technically the 3rd version of that partner program. And so we've learned a thing or two, and we're hoping that this is that sort of 3rd time's a charm thing that can happen with things. And again, Stuart, myself, and Kevin have put together what we think is a pretty comprehensive program. We've got 2 partners in beta already, and we do sort of have the door open for 1 or 2 more at this point. But we don't want too many at first. We've got to take our time, make sure we get the contracts right, make sure it's something that can be explained, signed, and executed quickly, not drug out forever. That includes the regional partner, for example's ability to tap into the educational, online and cohort-driven educational capabilities, which I know you know a lot about, Milagros. So we've really tried to think about the whole thing, and it, as Salim said, would be kind of a hybrid, because we don't want the delivery functions in-house. We want you to do that. And by the way, that's where most of the money goes for any big program, is through delivery. So, that should give you a sense of what will happen there.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay. All right, great. Anybody else? Jason, Thomas, you were on our earlier session. Was there anything particular you thought was like, oh, yeah, so glad they shared that. Maybe you could remind me, and I'll share it here.
Well, of course, I see Yaroslav's popping back in, so that'll be good.
Oh.
Go ahead, Dr. Scott.
Yeah, well, we
Okay.
become members of Genius Network. I mean, I kind of looked at this site, and I've pushed it out to some people. They want to find out whether or not they're accepting new students. And yes, Do they have,
So
as far as their entrepreneurs, are they affiliates or what is their network?
I think you're tapping into a place where we're just starting to explore more. I believe that the first interfaces that we will create between the two communities are going to be around the aspect of cross promoting and cross-selling the programs and offering strong incentivizations for people to participate. So that's sort of an answer to what you asked, but it's not like we're going to force you into being some genius member, right? Or vice versa. We think that's on us to make it compelling for you and interesting. And then that will evolve. And we're going to need to work with you all to explore that as well.
Okay, now, are a lot of their people essentially have small businesses, or
in the 6 million, the
yes,
6 million, yeah. So I do not have the demographic and psychographic information on that yet. We just assigned just a day over a week ago, right? So it's and this was only announced to the public 7 days ago. So these aren't questions I fully know all the answers to yet. But I'll start getting a lot more access to that kind of data now that we signed.
Okay. Well, we're excited about it.
Thank you.
And we're excited about Stuart Lacey also.
Yeah, Stuart's a great guy. One of the things I shared this morning was on Roger Hamilton's YouTube channel a couple days ago. I don't know exactly. It might have been Monday morning. No, it is Monday. Must have been Friday. Friday morning, maybe. He pushed an community investor update. It was like a 2-hour call with him and Mo and Peter. That's 3 members of the board there, the same board that Salim's joining. And in that was the first time in public that they talked about how OpenExO and the Genius Group are going to work together. And I definitely think that's good watch. It's a long one. It's almost 2 hours, but there's 4 times in that call that they did talk about OpenExO. It's integrated into the slide decks, and they spoke about Salim and his role and our mutual role. Because we've always had this dream, and we built an organization, a nonprofit called the Fast Track Institute a few years ago that went out and did exclusively a form of sprint called a Fast Track for cities. And we did some serious and impactful civic transformation. And one of the things that the Genius Group is doing is they're pushing Genius Cities, and EXO is going to be put and blended, if you will, directly into that Genius Cities offering. So that's going to afford us the ability to operate at the civic level, not just the organizational or company level as well, or the individual or SME and small business level. With entrepreneurs, see, we have the full stack there now between our organizations. And Genius also just announced acquisition of an organization called FatBrain. FatBrain is effectively an AI technology company. And FatBrain, not long ago, purchased a company called PrimeSource. PrimeSource is a AI developer, and there's about 400 developers that work there. So now you can see that we're all one force, right? We have all of this development talent. We've got the AI capabilities that FatBrain bring, the AI deployments that Genius already has, the community that we have, the extended community that we'll get from there, plus a pretty big vision from Roger and the board that we're going to be working towards. So it is a lot, but it's pretty exciting. Yes, Christopher. You are on mute, sir. We cannot hear you, Christopher.
Maybe I'll unmute myself.
There
Okay, so are you expecting a pretty large influx of new members as a result of Genius?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the first ways we intend to bridge that is to put some of our courses into their course system, not to replace ours, but to complement it. And then we anticipate you can't take our courses without joining the platform. So that means, yes, we would expect those folks to come in. Salim and Roger and whomever else, like Yaroslav and others.
An important point will be we expect a lot more people on the demand side, meaning entrepreneurs and consumers of the EXO services, as opposed to advisors.
That's a very good point. We spent all this time kind of building out the supply side, and on their side is almost all the demand side. So we're going to be bringing those together mutually across our platforms, and finding every way we can to cross those wires there purposefully. So yes, I sure hope so, Christopher. That would be part of the hope. All right, and I see Yaroslav that you joined. You want to say hi? Okay, not yet. And Lisa is here. Lisa, thank you for joining. As I pointed out, two things. You should go check out insight.openexo.com, which is the community written publication that Lisa curates and edits. It's really good, and it gets better every day. There are hundreds of authors that have published something close to 500 now articles on there. You really should check that out. Eventually, that is actually going to fold into the main platform at openexo.com. And Yaroslav, as I said, gave a very good update this morning on the earlier version of this call, which explains where we are with all of our course offerings and where we're going. I would encourage you to go and check that out as well. It was a very good explanation. And I did want to take a couple of minutes to talk about some of the platform pieces that I want everybody to be aware of, if this is a good time for that. Before I jump over to that, any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes,
I just wanted to say this is a very exciting development. Amazing, the possibilities and the potentials that are now present. And I think for me, it's clear like integration is going to be a huge challenge in integrating these organizations, and especially because the kinds of services and potentials are very different, and integrating, pulling them together. So I just wanted to speak to that for a minute in terms of how you're going to sort all this out. This new organization, Genius, is basically, as I understand it, at this very primitive stage, an education-oriented organization for developing entrepreneurs.
They would consider themselves an AI-based ed tech org.
Yeah, and that's the second piece of it, is they use AI to achieve the education, right? So it's an empowered, but it's an educational oriented service with AI. EXO is a organizational transformation organization with a methodology and a service. And one of the really exciting things that EXOs can help companies deal with is implementing AI. So that's a huge new area, right?
Oh yeah.
Right, but those are also similar, integrated, but somewhat different things. Like EXO is about organizational change and transformation and doing the sprints and the thinking and the mindset shifts. And AI is applying a technology as an integral part of that. But also, when you go do that, there's an organizational readiness component, which is about educating about AI, which is very, very minimal. So that's a barrier to overcome, and also educating about EXO, which is one of the challenges, which is what EXO Sprint does. So you have this educational component, this organizational transformation component, and this AI component, and they're integrated, but it's also somewhat different things. So that's part of the integration challenge I see coming up, which is really fascinating. And that's going to be very interesting to see how you evolve the strategy for dealing with that and the business model.
Absolutely spot on, Dale. If you look on the screen here, what you see is our Learning Hub. And I don't know if everyone here has visited the Learning Hub yet, but you definitely should. And what you're sort of latching onto there is that, our methodologies for organizational training have also evolved. Yaroslav and his team have done an enormously just such a tremendous job of upgrading every single course that's on the platform, of launching new ones for exponential technologies. EXO Pro Foundations just went live right here. And it hasn't been live very long, but this is a major upgrade. This is not a small thing. It's designed specifically for those who wish to actually implement in their organizations or help others do so, which matches one of our our personas. We have 4 key personas that we serve these days. I don't know if you've seen those or not, but I can show you. Here, let me do it this way. So if you go over here and you look, if you want to create an EXO, make your company EXO, learn about EXO, or help an EXO implement, help an org implement. So if you're a certified coach or consultant, then you're kind of here. This page now will walk you through every single step, the best way to get going. And we've been a little weak here in the past, you know, in helping people take those first tentative steps in a safe way. And then when you combine that with the calendar, which is web dot here, over here, you are, no human being on this planet at any price is ever more than 5 to 7 days away from getting any support, at least the beginnings of the support they need to become, or help someone be an EXO. And we did not say that before. That's new. And that's a combination of the last 2 years of work, not just the last few days or anything even to do with the merger. And so, you know, if you just decided right now and you were kind of new to this, you're on the call, you're watching on YouTube, whatever, I want to explore this. I think I'd like to be an EXO. What do I do? Well, you could join the platform for free in the free tier and talk to Alex, the AI. That's free. We make that available for free. That's really cool. The second, if you do want to pay, you can come to the master classes or the master minds every week. Well, you can ask for the help you need in there to get started. They're going to connect you with people. They're going to show you where all the resources are. They're going to explain to you the book, how that interacts with Alex. You can go watch the new video Kevin and I just made on using Alex on the YouTube channel, which has gotten a lot of views. People seem to really like that when in that format. Again, free, right? So we're doing as much as we can to drive information out free to help people get started. I don't ever want anybody to say they can't be an EXO because they can't afford to get started. That's crazy, right? There's no need for that, right? That would be anti-abundance, wouldn't it? But yes, as a company, we have a membership model that helps support the core to support you and all the others who want to be EXOs. So it works out pretty well. So yes, that's pretty cool.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, really great. Thanks for giving me a chance to say those things. Let's see. So, hi, Nikki. How are you?
Good, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see.
I'd like to ask a little bit. I know you probably haven't covered it yet, but on the Exos migration, what's your vision? Yeah, when you do, what's your vision for addressing the utility, keeping it a solid asset that can be exchanged, and adding to that pot? Because we're kind of we're exploring, and Christopher has offered to help too, look at a pool, a community pool of sorts, where we can start to trade assets, and it might not be just tokens. It could be a mix of talent and resources and, you know, vehicles or beds to sleep in or whatever. We're talking about these cities and have a lot of interest. So I'm just kind of curious about what you think that token might translate to.
Well, I don't know. We've already seen people put hotel rooms and beds up for Exos over time. That's been pretty cool. I don't know where that is right now because I haven't been involved in that for a little bit. But yeah, I'll talk about Exos in just a moment. Let me see. I just want to show a couple things about platform, and then I'll jump over to Exos. Okay.
Thanks.
So why don't I go ahead and do that really quick? This is pretty quick because I really need to share with everybody something kind of amazing that happened over the last several years. And I'll reference you too, Nikki, on this one. I may have forgotten to mention EXO Angels this morning. That was not intentional. There's just a lot going on this morning. But let me show you something. So if you come over here to the platform now and you take a look up in the top right-hand corner, there's this little score, right? It's called XP, 1,804 XP. About 2.5 years ago, that same guy that Salim mentioned earlier that's on the board of Genius, I was in a meeting with Salim at the X Prize Foundation. They're going to a special extended board meeting kind of thing. And we got to talking about gamification. And Eric Bouye mentioned octalysis. And when I hear weird words, I'm always like, "Ooh, that's a weird word. I never heard of that." And so my ears perked up and I was like, I jotted that down. I was like, how do you spell that? And I went and I looked it up and I started doing a really deep dive on gamification and octalysis. And I said, we need that in our platform. Now, this was 2.5 years ago. Just shortly thereafter, we made a call out to the community to do kind of a series of community experiments to explore the possibilities of gamification in the EXO context. And that Nikki and Fabrizio and a number of others, there were many at first, stepped up and worked on that. And that eventually even created a company called EXO Angels that Nikki and Fabrizio and a few others are part of, that are exploring gamification for organizations and other things. But in our case, those experiments led to learning. The learning led to our team being able to implement XP. And if you click on your little number of XP at the top, it'll tell you what they are. It'll tell you how you can earn them. And we are finding, let's see, as of just the end of last week, there were over 500 people that had over 50 XP in the platform. And it's only been live for about 8 weeks, and we didn't even tell anybody, right? So that's one of the neat things about gamification, is if it's going to work, it should just work. And in fact, it is working very, very well indeed. And I'm super happy about that. And the next phase of gamification is beginning to roll out. No, we are not turning OpenExO platform into a game. Not like you're not going to be playing Space Invaders on the web page, but it is gamified, which is all about behavioral psychology and all about being able to support the activities and the engagement that the members need, because it's more visible and it can be incentivized more effectively. So really excited about that. Definitely wanted to share that with everybody. You can always check your XP straight from your dashboard, which is now the default landing page when you go to the platform and you're logged in. If you're not logged in, you'll see that other page that I showed you before. The second thing I want to make sure everybody remembers and knows about, before I do that, I just want to show you like one simple example of how you can get XP. So as if you are scrolling through the feeds, for example, and you see something you like, let's see if I see anything I like. Okay, I would love to increase my health span. I want everybody to read that. So I'm going to click this little circle here. That's a super vote. So if you click that, did you see the number go up? That's pretty cool, right? So that's called a high five when you see something happen like that. I've said that they need to make the numbers go up and little fireworks come out and come down the page, but I haven't quite got that yet. But we'll see. But that's a very small piece of the overall gamification of the platform. You can also upvote articles. The more you super vote and upvote, which is tied to your membership tier, how many of those you get a day and so on and so forth, the more other members are going to be promoted that content. So we're crowdsourcing what to show you from you, which is pretty cool. And that's a really good example. The other thing I wanted to make sure everybody knew about is the new Learning Hub. The team has worked so hard. Yaroslav, Jillian, and Anastasia in particular, they burned so much midnight oil making this happen for all of you. And there's two things in particular I want to make sure everybody sees. Number one is Pro Foundations is live. You really do want to go check this out. It's pretty extraordinary. And then number two, my favorite thing on here, I'm taking Pro Foundations slowly, but I will actually finish it at some point. But inside the master classes is every 2 weeks we run a master class. The master classes are typically hosted by our team in combination with a community member with a specific expertise that they want to share with you. And so then we take that and we take a light edit of it and we put it right here. So you can see that over time, many community members have run master classes. So I forget who it was. Was it Fabrizio who did the crazy method? Or was it, I can't remember who that was. But then there was mechanical creativity, enterprise strategy, how to grow on LinkedIn. That was a good one. The AQ one was really good. I really enjoyed the AQ one. Something called Futurepreneurship. I have not watched that one. But come in here. These are every 2 weeks, we're adding a new one. So it just gets bigger and bigger. Today looks like there's 19 master classes in there. Okay. Super cool. Again, community driven for community. We facilitate it, but then it connects you all. So love that. Hi, Lisa and Doggy. Thank you, Yaroslav. Fabrice Testa, not Fabrizio, but Fabrice did the crazy method. So super fun. Let's see. And so we talked about that gamification. We talked about feeds. We talked about the Learning Hub. We talked about the new course. I think that's it. So I'm going to talk about Exos next. But before I go to that, does anybody else have any questions?
Well, I'm just happy to say that I have over 2,000 XPs.
Oh, yeah. I'm not.
I'm up there with you, Dr. Thomas.
Oh my gosh, you guys are killing me. We got one person on the platform that has over 20,000, and the reason he does is number one, he found a bug at first, exploited it madly, and told us about it. And so he just kept working it until we fixed the bug, to his credit. And then the second was he learned that the thing that we pay the most XP for is publishing articles on EXO Insight with Lisa. And so he is just like a machine. He's in there pumping, and they're great articles too. So I'll leave it to you to figure out who that is. We will actually be publishing a leaderboard soon. And we're working on the leaderboard to make sure it's a really good leaderboard. But that's an exciting project that's going to come out where people will be able to see relatively how they're doing to their against their peers, right? So it's going to be pretty fun. Okay, I want to talk about the token. So let's see. Let me get these questions. I'll get these questions up that you asked, Nikki. So first and foremost, the Exos token was launched in 2018. It was originally called CIVX, CIVX, and then it got renamed, same token, new name, Exos. And we have been running our own L1 blockchain since 2018. Oh my gosh, a long time, 6 years we've been running a blockchain. Not too many people really realize this, I don't think, but running your own L1 blockchain is a big ask. It's a lot of work, and we're not going to do that anymore. And so we have finally, we went on a wide search. It took, how long, Nikki, did we try to find a good partner? 3 years, 4 years? I don't even know. It was a long time, and it was a lot of bumps. But we found one in Casper Networks. Now, there is a video on the YouTube channel with Mirinol and Salim. I actually recorded that video. I interviewed them, and we cut it into that format, so it'll be a little shorter for you. But go watch that. They talk a little bit about why it's exciting, why we're doing these things. But once the Exos token goes to the Casper network, it will be an asset on Casper, and we will no longer have to run our own blockchain. We'll let them do that, and we're super excited about that. But secondarily, we are going to be doing a token split. So it's going to be a 10-for-1 split. So if you have 10 Exos and you put them in the transfer gateway portal, they'll come out the other side 100 of the new token on the new network, and your original ones will be gone. It's a burn and mint process, okay? Put your tokens in, they come out the other side, multiplied by 10, and they will come out with a new name. I wanted to announce the name today on these calls, but I couldn't because we're still testing the name to make sure we can deploy it. And so I explained a little more earlier today why we have to change the name. I'm not going to go into it again, but the point is that we'll have a good new name for the token. It will still be the same token, new name, new network, all the same, everything else. Okay. Now to Nikki's questions, the first one was around utility. So the most exciting thing, I think, is that we will be doing, once we're on the new network, Nikki, you know that our platform is fully Web3 capable. Anybody who's really dug around in there understands this. So we'll be integrating the new token directly into the platform. And especially this gets important when we launch the next version of the marketplace. So anybody who's been paying attention knows that we took the old marketplace down. We replaced it with kind of a poor interim step in Discord, so we would have something. The designs have been created for the new marketplace, and we really just need to staff the project and get it into the priority queue, and then we'll be able to roll out Marketplace 2.0, which is, I think, going to be pretty extraordinary. The token will be a main part of that marketplace, Nikki, not secondhand, kind of like it was before. It's going to be a deeply integrated functional piece. And I'm really excited about that because I think that's the ultimate utility, really, for that particular token. The token itself can already be used. You can do it right now. You don't have to wait for anybody for whatever you want to do with it. But ultimately, it will also, now, the thing I'm going to say next cannot be construed as investment advice or promises of gain or any of that stuff, right? Because I can't do that and I won't do that. But the reality is that we do want the token to trade. Now, we have had an extraordinarily difficult time getting the token trading while running our own blockchain, okay? It was hard. When we're on the new network with a new partner, it is not difficult to imagine that that new partner would want to have a DEX trading pair with us, is it? As a first baby step. to having the token trading in public markets. So that'd be good. And then there are many other friends we've made along the way as we were making our journey through trying to find a new L1 that actually still like us. We didn't burn any bridges or upset anyone. It just wasn't the right fit. And I could foresee some of those also becoming trading pairs on DEXs. And once you have enough trading pairs on DEXs and you produce enough volume, the marketplace is going to help a lot with that. Okay. Once you produce enough volume, then you'll be able to entertain the idea of getting on some of the centralized exchanges. It's still going to take years. Okay. I don't want to mislead anyone. It's very hard. It's way harder than it used to be. And it's expensive. Now, the other piece of utility that I'm really excited about that crosses over with some of the stuff you were asking about earlier, you said adding to the pot. We have stewarded what we call the community portion of the treasury. All that's never been touched. It's all still there. Everything from the original white paper is still there. Now that needs to go into a new legal structure, which is already designed and ready to go. It just hasn't been possible to launch it for about 50 reasons. But that thing is going to become the community treasury, and then we will need to launch a community governance board to oversee that. And we have to do this in a very safe way. We did a bunch of experiments over the last few years, and we used Sway as a governance tool. Unfortunately, Sway, the company, didn't make it in the end, but it was a really wonderful tool for us. We learned a lot, but we also learned that hyperinflation is a real thing for token services in community governance systems, right? I don't know how else to put that, but it's just a thing. It's not just true for us. I've observed this in a number of other networks. So we have to find a way to deal with that so that, you know, you don't put all the tokens in there and then the next thing you know, in a month, they're all gone. Like, what the hell happened? You know, so, you know, you've got to figure out how to manage that. But I'm super excited to say that we're going to be able to probably bring to life that concept of a DAO that I believe will be very transformative for the OpenExO community. After we're live and as we contemplate DEX trading pairs and eventually public trading on centralized exchanges. There's never been a change. This has been true since day zero. Hang on a second. Pause. Somebody is ringing the doorbell a lot. I'll be right back. Somebody else say something. Just cover me for me for a minute.
Yeah, I'm excited about this because I'm the one that wants to do everything now. And so this 25-year plan has been really frustrating because I know it's needed and I know it needs to be done intelligently. But I don't know, Christopher, do you have any wisdom to impart on how to govern or how to structure a governance that leans toward the DAO or the decentralized way of having it takes a village or a community or a collaborative to make something like this work? What are your thoughts?
Well, thanks for putting me on the spot, Nick.
Well, we're supposed to talk, so why not?
Yeah,
No, you're good.
How about,
You're good.
by the way, could you also solve for fusion and
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's easier. That's
Yeah,
easier.
I know that's the joke, right?
Yeah,
we've got a better solution than
yeah,
fusion.
we got a better solution than that because fusion kind of blows up and kills you. But
oh gosh.
No, Nikki, I've been looking at the Hawaii experience or experiment, and it's interesting. I also had done a lot of studying years gone by, and I forgot most of it, to what happened in Eastern Canada when they had a minimal life or a wage guarantee.
Yeah.
And all of those experiences, all of those experiments are successful. The problem is it's the staying power of the society in life. So unless you're willing to, I think, segregate yourself from society, and then at that point you have to find a self-sustaining capability of financing that, it's going to be tough. You know, it doesn't mean we shouldn't work towards it, but it is a long-term prospect.
Yeah, and I'll just remind everybody that when I started kicked this project off with Salim, there were 3 people at the call the night of the Mint. It was me, Salim, and Najib Kiwan. And Salim's like, how long do you think this will take? You know, so sort of this weird broad question. I was like, 25 quarters? And he's like,
quarters?
What? I was like, yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
No, not 25 quarters. I said
100 quarters, 25
100
years.
quarters, 25 years.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
to protect myself there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've always said this was a 100 quarter project, and everybody needs to accept that, right? And now, you know, and because it goes like this, and that whole concept that you just outlined, Christopher, I'm going to talk more about that because you're twigging in on something super important that myself and another member of the team have been working on really hard, is creating that underlying financial structure to support the token as it makes its way into DEXs and centralized exchanges and more broad general utility. You can't expect that will happen by chance. You actually do have to do some engineering, and we've done a lot. And I can't talk about it, but I would share it in a one-on-one conversation if this is something you're interested in.
Absolutely. Yeah, get a hold of me.
Yeah, for sure.
Love
So good questions. And let me make sure I got all of Nikki's.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Nikki.
the pot, DAO, pool, exchanges, trading, and utility, Nikki. I think I touched on all of that.
Yeah, thank you. I have one other question just in case.
Go for it.
This one keeps coming up, and it still did at Abundance 362, but I just have to say it. There are such a small percentage of women in the leadership positions of a lot of these future thinking organizations. And I just wonder, is there something we can do with this DAO structure, with this it takes a village, with the feminine archetype? And I don't want it to be gender-based, but it seems to keep falling in that direction. So what are we doing to encourage or at least identify any kind of equity and inclusion kinds of efforts in leadership? Because everything that's merged are primarily male leaders. And I just wonder, are there other ways to look at this? Are there other ways to get recognition? Are there other ways to, like Dr. Scotton brought up, small and medium businesses? What about women in leadership in small and medium businesses becoming a working group of some sort or whatever? I don't know. I'm just looking for the next steps because it keeps coming up in conversation and we just kind of keep going.
We have been making lots of efforts. I don't think that I can catalog them all here, but just look, for example, at how Kevin has run the videos. He refuses to record a video unless every other one is a female leader from our community, for example, right? Now, you know, stating that there's no female leaders in the companies that emerged, I don't know. I would have to go look at the board structures.
Tiny
You're right. It is male dominant, no question. There's no doubt about that. But there are some women in significant leadership positions in these organizations that I talked about earlier. Now, I don't know the answer. I would love to see a working group. We used to have EXO women. I'm not getting that. There was 3 words in the name, but it kind of fizzled out. It didn't really continue. Our new working group structure, I think, is working out really beautifully. We have a couple now that are really starting to click, and I would encourage that very much. But I don't think a man is going to start that.
Actually,
away with it.
can I?
So,
sorry,
yeah.
Kent?
Sure, absolutely.
Kent, there's a couple of women that Jason and I have been talking to that want to start up a working group, and they're all EXO. There are some women who have left, some women who are still here that they want to bring back and create that. They're not quite sure how they go about approaching, who they approach, how they actually get permission, what support they've got. So, sorry, go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say, I actually reached out to Colleen the other afternoon, but I did not realize it was like 10 minutes before y'all did the Discord reconstruction. So you know, if nothing else, that's definitely something that I believe there's enough interest in. And like with Nikki stepping up, I think it would be a great time. You know, you got Lisa, you got, you know,
anyway, there's some really good, solid,
amazing women in this community.
Yeah,
we need to do everything we can
they would like
to
support them. Yeah. So maybe whoever it is, if they could reach out to Jason, they came to Jason because he's so good with Discord and all that sort of stuff. They thought maybe he could help. So if you could get somebody to communicate with Jason, he'll put him in touch.
Yeah. So as Yaroslav just posted in the chat, yes, Jason is here and he loves to help and he can help. Kevin has produced a draft document. It is a draft document for what it takes to start and run a working group. And Ben Clayton has been instrumental in his creation of the WGAI group of making that work, right? So we've tried to really draw on Ben, now draw on Jason, and really listen and embed that in that document. We know that the number one success metric for any working group succeeding, having a chance at all at succeeding, is to have a certain number of people committed to coming to every meeting, and to have a certain number of people across many time zones committed to running the group together as a team. Not one person, but you need a small team. It's really 2 or 3 people can do it, because without that, they fizzle every time.
They've got it.
Yeah. So if they've got that sort of critical mass, then we're 1,000% in support, Nikki, and to everybody else. You know that we've tried several times, and maybe this is the magic one. Maybe we have the structure now that can support it. And maybe as we go into the merger with the Genius group, we can actually tap into more people and more strong women leaders, who can be a part of this. There's nothing about that we don't want to help do. I would, my wife is shy, but I've been trying to get her to go to some of those things, but it would be lovely.
So you mentioned the Genius Network, and I want to tie in Joe Polish and his influence on our success, and that he's a great marketer. So I'm wondering, do we also gain access to that community by way of Genius Group, and to what degree?
No, not really. Let me explain. That was a slip. Genius Group is who we're merging with. Genius Network is Joe Polish's group. The way that this entire thing kicked off was 9 months ago. Salim got invited to speak at the Genius Network. Roger's a member of the Genius Network, and they can reconnect. They already knew each other. We've known all each other for a long time, but they reconnected there. That kicked off 9 months of talks that culminated in a signed agreement that was announced last Monday. So Joe and Genius were instrumental. Genius Network were instrumental in bringing us all together, although not directly integrated. Now, whether or not there's a future where we somehow have some sort of a joint something, I don't know yet, but I would say that's a strong possibility.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and yes, so we are at 52, and I think, let me just double check, but I think I've hit all the high points. I did. Oh, one thing, we loved I hope you all enjoyed, I hope you all got to see the A360 stream that we did. Salim negotiated that for us directly with Peter, and that was a gift effectively from A360 to our community in return for some of Salim's participation and support of the event and our mutual needs. It was pretty awesome, right? Now, it's already starting to be taken down. We're trying to find a way. We don't have it yet, but we're trying to find a way to do a kind of an interactive community rebroadcast. I don't know what else to call it. I don't think we'll be able to just like play the whole thing through per se on repeat. I don't think they want that. But no matter what, we're going to find a way to have some strong community discussion. And it might start as early as the next mastermind, which is, I think, Thursday. I got to look at the calendar myself. Wherever that thing is, please go look at the calendar. Don't listen to me. Go look at the calendar and figure out what it is. And but I think that'll be the first time we say, oh, let's talk about the Liquid AI talk. Let's talk about Michael Saylor's talk. Let's talk about Invisible AI's talk, or whatever the different ones we want to pick up on, because there were so many good ones. I'm super excited that happened. And it's the second time we've done it, by the way, if you didn't know. We did it the previous year too. It worked better this year because we had Colleen and Michael, and they streamed it a little differently this year than they did the prior year. We were able to tie it in with our membership tiers, which we didn't have before. So there's just all these really good things that happened this year.
Well, I'd like to suggest a vote if we have any say, because you say it's starting to be taken down. On the Singularity side, they had also watch parties, and they were given through March 31st to listen in and watch the replays.
I got reports today that the videos weren't working. I don't know why yet. I've got to look into it. But most of the reports were coming from people in pretty far remote areas, and I have a feeling that it's just Vimeo and their CDN not doing a good job. But I don't know that. So we're trying to find a way to secure the ability for our community to watch it a little higher fidelity, a little smoother, if we can, on the platform.
Awesome.
They've been doing pretty good. They've been doing pretty good to about the 7-hour mark, and then they seem to freeze up for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. And so maybe those videos are too big. They need to be cut up. I mean, you know, but we have to have their permission, right? It is theirs. You know, we have to work with them. So.
Well, it was much appreciated.
I would like to definitely appreciate you and Salim for helping arrange that. It was a fantastic event and a gift. So thank you. It was just an amazing event.
Our pleasure. It completely sidelined any progress on operations for an entire week. So yeah, it was great, but yeah, no, it really did. But that's a good thing. That means we nailed it, right? That's super good. And just, you know, a huge shout out to Peter Diamandis, A360 Singularity University. You know, they supported us and allowed us to do that. And I believe this is also a really lovely gesture of friendship between the communities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We felt bad for a few in the community that was doing the TLL summit because it kind of got overridden because A360 got announced, but they still did a great job.
Yeah. Okay.
What I'd like to see is all the communities start to take the Exos token or the new named token.
I think that's a longer play. Just it's just the reality is, Nikki, and we've learned this, is that internally it works well, but when you start to reach out, unless it's trading, people don't want a lot to do with it, and that's okay. I don't mind that. It's totally fine. As you pointed out, maybe it's a little frustrating at times, but I've said we can't rush it. We have to do it right. We have to stay on the right side of the law and regulation so that we don't get caught up in any weird stuff. You know, and we've been super
Thank you
careful.
for that.
Yeah. So our token holders don't have to worry that they have Exos tokens. It's fine because we've done things right.
Well, and the one amazing thing that I discussed, and I'm probably the least qualified to discuss it, but I did mention it with Salim, is the fact that imagine when this token finally really becomes utilitarian, look at how big of a group you've already got behind it that has access to it. Whereas like Bitcoin, it started from 0 and worked its way up. This is, to me, it looks like
it's almost like somebody planned that, isn't it?
Yeah, imagine that. And that's imagine that. So that's the reason I feel like it's good to be even more patient. And I feel for the ones that's had to be patient for many, many years, but I think it's going to be worth it in the long run.
Yeah. Distribution, utility, monetary value. Those happen in that order. Yeah. Or what various, asset value, monetary value, means of exchange, means of, it's just the right order for any token like that. Unless you're Bitcoin, but nobody else can be Bitcoin. Bitcoin's Bitcoin. So as far as I'm concerned, I definitely appreciate Michael Saylor and all the things he has to say, and his clarity about his position is enviable. But there is room for additional. There is room for other tokens, but they have to have specific utility and purpose, where they don't need to exist. Ours most definitely will.
Exciting times.
All right. We got 2 minutes left. Time for one more question. Salim disappeared to go do the basketball thing. Anybody else? So
I'm here. I can answer it.
Oh, he's still there. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions for Salim, me, or? Yeah. Well, good.
Salim, I loved how you just got up on stage and was being. You were just being.
He had no choice.
Yeah.
Tell him, Peter. Yeah, Salim.
Well, Peter kept dragging me on, and they text me going, "Peter wants you on stage." I'd be like, "Okay, what for?" And they go, "We don't know." And I'd be just standing there randomly. I didn't have any choice but to be being.
Well, that's your sweet spot, man. So
it is.
Nobody else improvs the way you do. So
he knows that if he needs you for any topic, you can chime in on any topic.
Well, as my wife says, I can pretend to speak about anything.
Okay, folks, last call. Really grateful for all of you being here, and do share the recordings with our community members if they didn't see them. If you want to see the fuller some of the other details of things we discussed in the earlier session, it's there. I posted that in the chat earlier. It's easy to find. All of these will be in the live section of the videos on our YouTube channel. And yeah, with that, I think we're pretty good.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
y'all. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye,